Hey guys, welcome back to Cruising with Matthew, and today I'm going to be talking all about the successful return of MSC Cruises to the Mediterranean on board their flagship MSC Grandiosa. In this video I'm going to be highlighting some of the health and safety policies that they've implemented across the ship, and hopefully this will give us an indication as to what we can expect on board other cruise lines when cruising starts to finally return. This is a bit of positive news that I think everyone could do with at the moment, so I really hope that you enjoy this. So on the 16th of August 2020, MSC Grandiosa became the first ship in the MSC fleet to start embarking passengers in the port of Genoa. This is something which I found extremely exciting. Now Grandiosa is a very new ship, and she was christened by her godmother, Sophia Loren, on the 9th of November 2019. She is a Meraviglia Plus class ship, weighing in at 181,000 gross tons and would normally carry over 6,000 guests. However, due to COVID-19 and the relevant social distancing measures that are being put in place to prevent the spread of the virus, her current capacity is 70%. Now, the health and safety measures that are being implemented on board Grandiosa start from before you even enter the terminal to embark. This involves the mandatory collection of guest contact details in case of updates, because as we all know, the situation with different countries is changing what it seems like every single day. There is also an online check-in which allows passengers to receive things like your cruise tickets, your travel documentation, and also a mandatory health questionnaire. If you're wanting to book any onboard packages, it's suggested that you book these before you go on your cruise in order to prevent the build-up of queues and things like that. Now, on embarkation day, you have a health screening. This involves the mandatory health questionnaire that I just mentioned, and this will be looking for any potential indication that you may have or have been exposed to individuals who have COVID-19. You will also be tested for COVID-19 prior to embarkation. Additionally, there is also a contactless temperature check in order to see if you have a fever. Now, the health screening that is going on is, as you can expect, really strict. Boarding will be denied to any individual who is showing signs of illness if they have a fever or high temperature, which MSC class as greater than 37.5 degrees or 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, or if you're suffering from flu-like symptoms. This includes a range of things including chills, cough, shortness of breath, muscle or body aches, fatigue, headache, sore throat, and or loss of taste or smell. Additionally, if you've had a potential exposure to a suspected or confirmed individual of COVID-19 in the 14 days prior to embarkation, you will be denied boarding. Now, this is something that obviously you're not wanting to have, but it is important to protect the rest of the passengers and crew. The importance of this screening technique cannot be understated. For instance, the executive chairman of MSC Cruises has noted, as reported by Shipmonk, in the time since her initial sailing in August, she's carried over 16,000 passengers. More than 100 passengers have been refused boarding either for testing positive, travelling with someone who has tested positive, or not having the correct medical paperwork, or for deviating from MSC's established protocols. Now, this shows that their screening protocol is effective at preventing COVID-19 from getting on board and has ensured that 16,000 people are being able to enjoy cruising in the new normal, inverted commas, of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it shows just how important it is. Embarkation has been changed with staggered arrival times in order to help minimise the number of people in the terminal. From this point on, there is a huge amount of cleaning, ensuring that all major touch points and surfaces are cleaned and disinfected to help prevent the spread of any microorganisms, not just COVID-19. Now, once you get through embarkation, you get to board the ship and you can start to enjoy yourselves. As you can imagine, one of their key areas is increased standards of cleaning and sanitation. Now, before I go into this, I do want to highlight that I've always felt that the cruise industry as a whole has done fantastic for making sure that things are clean. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, crew around the ships that I've been on have always been cleaning, and so I've never felt that cruising was unclean. However, given what's going on with the pandemic, it doesn't hurt to clean even more. Now, the sanitation methods that are being employed by MSC Cruises involves electrostatic sprayers. This can help kill bacteria and viruses such as COVID-19, as well as the use of hospital-grade disinfection products. They have also increased the frequency of cleaning throughout the entire ship. And they've also had a focus on the areas which have a high throughput of people and frequently touched areas. Public spaces are also sprayed with disinfectant each night as well. Now, cabins are cleaned daily with attention again to those frequently touched areas, and they also have an additional deep cleaning at the end of each cruise. External air is pumped into all cabins and public areas, and this is additionally sanitized through UVC light technology, which has been identified, according to MSC, to kill 99.97% of all microbes. There is also no recirculation of air between cabins or within the ship, ensuring that if there was an individual with COVID-19, it won't then get spread throughout the ship. Now, MSC also focuses on enhanced medical services with highly qualified staff. So all guests must have a daily temperature check throughout their cruise, and if anyone feels like they're suffering from flu-like symptoms, they must notify the medical centre and free treatment will be provided. There is also an increased number of individuals who are medically trained, and also a dedicated ashore medical team who have the skills to be able to deal with COVID-19, and they also have a response plan in place with local authorities throughout that route. Now, the medical centre is also equipped with COVID-19 testing equipment and ventilators if they need, and there is also isolation procedures for those individuals who may have COVID-19, as well as isolation zones for those who definitely have it, and that has its own separate air supply. The crew also undergo a thorough health screening and medical checks for COVID-19 as well as everything else before embarking, as well as daily health monitoring and health checks. All crew are supplied with personal protective equipment. This involves the likes of face masks and gloves, and there is also ongoing training for all crew with this new protocol. Now, as well as making sure that you feel safe on board in terms of having the appropriate medical care available if required, I think one thing that a lot of people are really worried about is, how is my onboard experience going to be affected? Now, MSC have tried their best to preserve their onboard experience essentially. However, there are going to be alterations. For instance, within the restaurants, bars and lounges, there has been an alteration of the arrangement of things so you can have appropriate social distancing, and also all meals and drinks will be served to guests at their tables. The buffet restaurant has also been repurposed. This includes an alteration of passenger flow through the area to ensure social distancing has been maintained, and also instead of getting the food yourself, the food will be plated and handed to them by a staff member in full PPE, and then you can go to your table to enjoy your food. And this means that you can get as many varieties of food as you want, and if you really want to, I'm sure you could stack several plates up to get all the food that you would like. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose out on the availability of the buffet restaurant, it's just going to be a little bit more controlled and probably arranged in a lot nicer way than how I'd pile it on a plate, that's for certain. They've also tried to improve the idea of it being completely contactless, so you'll have digital QR codes for things like the restaurant and bar menus, and this will be available by simply scanning on your mobile phone, which I think is a really nice idea. So this still means that you're going to be able to enjoy the same types of meals and the same drinks that you've always liked. It just means that things are even going to be delivered to your table, or you're going to have someone plate it up for you. Next up are shore excursions. Now, probably one of the biggest changes is, at the moment, MSC are only allowing people to debark the ship on MSC excursions, and this is simply to ensure that the standard of health and safety that has been kept on the ship is still present when people are exploring the port, and therefore reduces the chance of anyone inadvertently catching the virus and taking it on board the ship. Although this is a bit of a deviation to what people normally do, for instance, I've always liked wandering around and exploring the port myself, this is something I'd be more than happy to do, and it means that you're definitely not going to miss out on any of the top attractions in that area. Now, entertainment, the likes of things like your theatre shows, activities and the kids club are going to be pre-bookable, although this is going to be free, and this essentially allows you to ensure that venue capacity isn't overstretched and social distancing is maintained. You will also have the availability of things such as your family activities, talent shows, fitness, dance classes and areas like that. This hasn't been stopped, it's just going to be altered slightly, so you're going to have reduced numbers and things like that. Additionally, you're going to have things like the capacity of the theatre being reduced as well, and the entertainment schedule is going to be extended as well, so it'll ensure that everyone can see it, even if it's going to be in more showings, which I think is really good. To be able to book all these activities either in person or by the phone at dedicated desks as well. You're still able to enjoy the outdoor areas and pools as well. With MSC stating that on Grandiosa all the open decks and pools are available, you're still able to go into the jacuzzi or whirlpool baths, whichever you want to call them, as well as the aquapark. However, occupancy is going to be reduced. Additionally, some beds are going to be separated in order to maintain social distancing and sanitize after every single use, and also a deep sanitation at the end of every night as well. This is something which is completely expected, and it still means that you get to enjoy the pool and all the other great facilities that MSC Grandiosa seems to offer. Now naturally, guest services has had to be altered to ensure that you don't have unnecessary contact between individuals, and therefore a new information centre which is accessible either by phone or desk has been set up, especially on embarkation days, to manage in-person questions in order to avoid queues but also ensure that people still have access to answering questions. There's been a promotion of making sure that you try and ring before you can go to the desk and things like that. All guests are supplied with a complimentary MSC For Me wristband. Now this is another way of pushing for a contactless cruise experience, because as well as acting as a way of opening your cabin or making payment, it also acts as a proximity and contact tracer and ensures that the appropriate people are quarantined whilst ensuring that no one else has to unnecessarily quarantine, which is really important and helps ensure a more focused approach to preventing the spread of COVID-19 rather than a blunt quarantining everyone on the ship, which no one wants. So as you can see, MSC are really doing everything that they can to help ensure a safe cruise experience. And like I mentioned earlier, they must be doing something right, because 18,000 people have already been on MSC Grandiosa. And this really highlights that cruising can occur during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now I think these guidelines really highlight the sheer resilience of the cruise industry, because we've all seen the ships which are pictured off the coast, for instance in Weymouth in the United Kingdom for us, where you have basically the whole of the P&O and Cunard fleet, as well as ships being sold like Oceania for P&O, entire companies going bust like CMV, and also some ships being sold for scrap such as Pormateur's Sovereign. And currently there are very few ships even sailing, so I dread to think the amount of money that these companies are losing. However, the cruise industry is still pushing to develop these guidelines, which frankly seem to go above and beyond what occurs in most pubs and restaurants that I've encountered since the pandemic has started. So I do believe that the cruise industry does deserve a bit of slack and also a chance to prove itself that it can operate in a safe and secure manner, and I really hope that this happens in the near future. I for one can't wait until the day that I can finally go up the gangway and have a fantastic cruise, making friends, experiencing fantastic ports and exploring gorgeous ships. So that was my video talking all about the successful return of MSC Cruises in the Mediterranean. This is something that I think we all need to hear at the moment, because it just seems to be bad news after bad news across all areas of our lives at the moment. So a bit of a personal update for the astute amongst you, you will notice that my background has changed. I have moved into my new flat and I'm very much settling in and trying to clear some of the backlog of videos that I've been meaning to record. I'm sorry I've been a bit absent in the past few weeks and months, but things are hopefully going to settle down, and with the fact that I'm probably not going to be socialising as much in the next couple of months, this will give me ample amounts of time to be able to start recording some more videos. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please check out some of my other social media links. This includes the likes of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and a Facebook group. I post in all of these daily and I'd love to see you there. Please like and subscribe to this video if you've enjoyed, and if you have any comments or questions, please comment below and I'd love to hear from you. So until the next time, this is Cruising with Matthew, and thank you so much for watching.